Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. In our last session, we were discussing about in last session we were discussing about the Linux administrative commands, by the way, which is a which is the package management and the service management, both the things. And one more thing also, I think I am supposed to cover. I missed it maybe. Just let me. Yeah. So one is package management and other one is service management is what we have discussed in yesterday's session. And after that, we also have one more thing which is called as user management. And with this, actually, we can start our project. I missed to mention this. So basically, in our servers, by the way, we run our servers to run the web applications. And so these applications should run inside the operating system as a process. And this process should be run as a normal user. You should not run it as a root user. Okay. So that our application, so that our applications is bit secure, by the way. Okay. So to add such user, okay, we have a command called as user add. User add and the username is going to add the user. In some of the organizations, these users also will come as a functional users. Okay, functional users right from the place where your user is created. These users also will be created. In organizations, even you will have a central functional users. You will not create the things around local, by the way. Okay. But in some organizations, like, so that involves a cost as well, right? So functional users running centrally also, that runs, cost on the Active Directory and all. And so that way, like, so sometimes you might go with local user creating locally, but we don't set any password for that user. Okay, non-interactive user, we call it up. Okay. And okay, so that user will be that user will be used to run that particular process. But how to run this particular process with that particular user, we'll see that, anyhow in the project when we start with. But otherwise, a simple command which is user add a username, and whether to check whether the user is there or not by using ID command. So here in the same box itself, I'm not sure, we'll go. So user add sample. So the sample is created, ID space sample. It tells that the user sample has been created along with the group sample, by the way. A sample user is created and the sample group is created, and this user belongs to that particular group. That is what it is telling. Okay. So that's about user management. So with these particular things, we will start with our project approach, or we wanted to get onto. So the learnings, whatever you have done so far, we need to implement them. Okay. And that's where, okay. So let's start with, let's generally start with a project, by the way. So whenever we talk about the business of the application, by the way, so you remember we started all the things with a business. And when we start when we go into the business, by the way, there are two types of businesses usually will be there. One we call it as B2B, and another one we call it as B2C. B2B means business to business. B2C means business to customer. Okay. So that is where you're going to have. This is the common terminology that we will be having. Our project, whatever, I mean, so generally, if you talk about someone to someone, by the way, about your project, you generally need to have a context or set a context that your application is B2C or B2B, by the way. So business to business. And out of this, B2B is huge one, and whereas the B2C is a lesser small market, but B2C has significant customers. Maybe for an example, WhatsApp as an example, if you take it. So WhatsApp is a B2C to you, but whereas for us, it's WhatsApp is B2B. That means you are using it as a normal user, so to send the messages and all. So, but we pay to WhatsApp to run the WhatsApp business, by the way. Okay, so that is a B2B. Okay, the different model. So the same vendor is giving both the B2B and as well as B2C. And how a modern project looks like with these particular web-based applications over here is, so you will be having something like this. You will be having a presentation layer. So we generally call it as three layers of application, and that's where we also call them as a three-tier application, by the way. The modern applications generally is not even modern, by the way. So generally the web applications are, we consider as a three-tier, by the way. So that means you're going to have uh, three layers, by the way. So one layer is a presentation layer. One layer is a presentation layer. That means like, for example, you open Gmail or you open Amazon console, most of the things you look over here is quite common for you and me, right? Most of the things, whatever you look over here is quite common for you and me. But when I log in, it shows my servers. When you log in, it shows your servers. Gmail.com. You open Gmail, most of the frame is same. Okay, but you open, it shows your emails. I open, it shows my emails. And that is where so this diagram is coming into picture. So one is the web layer. So the one which is giving you the frame, by the way, right? The frame, by the way. So this is all the frame, by the way. Now what all the servers it is coming, it is filling here. Okay. Otherwise, these are all frame, and these are quite common options. So that frame, okay, comes from a server. So okay, so that is a web layer, by the way. But today's world, that frames are actually coming in a mobile applications also. If you have a mobile app, that frame goes to a mobile app, by the way. So frame will be okay, so done in mobile application, and those will directly talk to the backend server. So whereas here the presentation layer, so someone open on the browser, so it will go through the browser and then the request will go to the application. So for an example, if I go here and try to refresh this particular button, so first what I'm doing is I'm hitting the frame, asking the things. Okay, then the frame will know that okay, so this guys needs a lot these guys needs EC2 machines. Okay, then it will go and talk to some application server and try to fetch the details about my list of servers. Okay, and which that stores in a database, by the way. All right, so which that stores in a database. So then this application layer, this is again some application, some software, which is our application, will fetch the details from the database and give to the web layer, and web will present it. Okay. Now, anywhere it has broken, like let's say, and you will not see your servers, by the way. Right. So this is how the modern applications are same like any applications you take it up. So the frames are same, and the frame will be contacting the backend application servers. Now that is where when you actually go with okay, how many microservices. Okay, so this is the answer you are getting. Now the frame is only one, by the way, so you may be using, but uh, the full to fill the data in the frame, by the way, so behind the scene, okay, this is not when we talk about three-tier application, that doesn't mean that only three actually applications, only three layered, by the way. So we categorize into three layer. Maybe to get the web itself, they may run the frame. To get the frame itself, they may run two or three types of, so types of services. But application servers, so there'll be hundreds of services in the microservices, right? So this is how you're going to have, and database, by the way, is going to have the data that we call the data layer. So this is generally will be having in a three-tier application, or also just going little bit further, and these three-tier applications will be generally developed in different programming languages, and it's a developer choice. You don't involve here, by the way. It's a developer making that particular product. It is his choice, like which one to use. And here to develop the web layer, so there are different um, what we call programming languages which is available there. So one is React is one web layer, and Angular is another one. Okay, so HTML is another one. Like this, they will use different programming languages to develop this particular things. Okay, and also application layer. So app is basically like so like the backend we generally call it, or the application. This is actually generally developed in any business logic. Will write it up. So business logic of Gmail is to fetch the emails. Business logic of Amazon is to fetch the list of servers. Right now, the business logic will be written either in Java, Node.js, Python, Golang, Ruby, C hash. Okay, I mean C sharp, like that. Okay, so it can be any programming language that people can run. And when come to the database, by the way, the database softwares, okay, so people may use SQL databases, NoSQL databases, okay, some caching services, some middleware services like MQ, message queues, okay. So these are all falls under database layer, okay. Now it does not really matter what they use. It's the development effort, and the developer will think through what is the right choice for their requirement, and then they would have started the project. It doesn't fall into our general um, into our bucket usually. Okay, so that is what is. I wanted to give some introduction about an application. So when you have an application, it is going to be a three-tier application, and and this particular three-tier application is actually going to have generally like all our applications is categorized into three layers. One is presentation layer, uh, another one is presentation layer, another one is application layer, and the third one is database layer. Now we're going to start with one project. Okay, so our things. So the first project, what we're going to start with is actually going to help us in learning the things little bit okay, easier way. And then we'll go with the next project, which is okay, a big project, which is an e-commerce project. So which actually it itself becomes a bit complex project. Okay, but to deal with this complexity, you start understanding the things, by the way, and that's where to gain that particular comfort. The first project what we're going to talk about is a expense tracking project. So that means to track some expenses, but still it's a web application, and you're going to have a web layer, app layer, and database layer. We're going to have three services there for that, and only three. Even though it is a three-tier application, we're actually going with three. But next project, even it is three-tier application, but we'll go with 11 services. Okay, so this is what is we have with um, the project, and we're going to start with the project. So before to that, any questions? Yes. Yes, Vinny.
Yes, Raghu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, should I ask only related to web layer, the application layer or database, or can I ask something about Linux before getting?
Yeah, Linux, you can start attending the lab query sessions and you can ask there.
Okay. Okay. One small, I don't know, it doesn't seems to be logic. One small question regarding that.
Mhm.
So, okay, so now we are using Killer Coda, right? So, but we can use also the uh, Amazon Web Services to use the actual
Yes.
getting into the server. But I have seen the Git Bash or something, right?
I think it's too much out of context question. So let's park it. Maybe
Okay,
please join there. We
okay,
can talk this clearly. I mean,
okay.
leisure.
Okay.
Hey Raghu, you mentioned the next project will have 11 services. This one,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, this one will have fewer services, right? When you say service means it is like a microservice or something like that?
Yeah. It's like a microservice, but I am not using that word for now because I wanted to explain after you gain the bit context. Yeah. The
Okay,
answer is yes.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raghu. Can you just give some, like I'll join late actually. So can you just give what exactly started today? I just starting from the this layer actually, web layer, application layer, database layer.
Yeah. Maybe you need to go through video because there are others, right? So it's not one to one to start.
Mm, No, just a bit give some one-line contents. That is fine. Like,
We're doing the project. We started doing the
mhm.
Hi Raghu. Hello.
Yeah.
Raghu, still I didn't create the AWS account. Is there any problem? Like now you are going to do on AWS or like
Everything on AWS there. So that's where we started on the first day itself, asking you to create AWS.
and also thing is I'm staying in US right now, so it was like can I connect the near data center or else through Indian data center or
No, we're already
it,
using
it's
US only. So please go through that once again. Just first
okay,
create
okay.
an account. And in between, we talked about which region to use, why are we using it. All the beans, the context is there in the previous sessions.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, Raghu. Okay, thanks.
So for the project, by the way, so what we are going to do is, yesterday we were talking about some firewall thing, right? So firewall is the one which is going to allow our uh, firewall is the one which is going to allow our traffic. Um, okay, so by validating whether I'm the right person or not, right? So just for time being, okay, so just for a few days, by the way, so this is, we know we are doing wrong, but still, okay, so we wanted to do it. Why? Because uh, while you're beginning the project, so you have other things to worry, by the way. So I just wouldn't consider the network to be the serious one. So that's where what I usually start with my training is, so you start creating one firewall, and that particular firewall should be allowing all the traffic, by the way. So shouldn't block anything. Okay. So we're going to literally going to disable the firewall, and the disabled firewall is what we are going to use it for each and every server, by the way. Okay. And the answer is yes, it's not a good practice. The answer is definitely yes, but one day we will consider this particular point, we'll disable the things, by the way. Okay. But until then, So because you are learning how to set up the project and all. So this firewall is not the one I want you to worry for now. Okay. So that's where what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a firewall. So you go to Amazon console, maybe you clean up all your machines by the way before starting the project, and you can go to the security groups on the left side. Okay. So you have been creating the servers, and every server is been creating one firewall. Okay, configuration. So I'll just delete all those particular things. I don't want it because I want to keep it clean. That's it. You really no need to delete, but still I'm deleting it. I want to keep it clean. Okay, delete it. So all the things will get deleted other than one guy. Okay, so this one guy is a default guy. You can't touch that. Okay, you just leave it. Default it will be there. So you will not be able to delete it. That's by design of Amazon. Now let's create a security group, and I'm giving a name called as allow all in small letters and hyphen all. So you also try to give the same name so that we just be on the same context. No capital letters, okay. So here all small characters I'm giving. Capital letters also you can give, but I'm giving small letters. Maybe stick to that only. Okay. So just to avoid the confusion. So the name and the description I'm giving as allow all only. Now the inbound rules, okay, who is actually coming in? Outbound is actually, that means who can go out is already given as everything allowing. So outbound is all traffic is been allowed everywhere. So here also inbound rule also, I'll say that, all traffic allowed from everywhere. Okay, so create a security group. Now this security group is the one which we are going to use it for each and every machine. From now on, what all the missions I'm going to create, it is going to be with this particular firewall. How can I choose that? So when I go to the instance, okay, launch an instance. Okay, so over here, there is, if we just stopped at the key pair, but going further, by the way, you will see that, so choosing a firewall, okay, a security group. So you choose the existing security group, and there's a allow all. You choose this all the time when you launch a mission. All right. So this is what is we have in the firewall thing. So the first point that what I wanted to use is yeah. So this is what I wanted to so set for the first point, which is for the project. Okay. Right. The next one, which we are going to delete over here is which is the next one which I wanted to delete over here is the servers, by the way. Now the server, each and every server you create, okay, you try to create with T3, you try to create with the T3 small, okay. So use the T3 small instance type. So that means when you launch the instance, so here, maybe until then you are using T3 micro. So T3 micro, so what you are going to get the hardware type. So T3 micro is going to give you 2 CPU, 1 GB of RAM, but maybe, okay, 1 GB of RAM might fail for some time, your applications to start up and all. But at this point of time, try to do the T3 small, but we have a later in the sessions, we have a right sizing of the resources, okay, with the load test, by the way. That time, we will know that, okay, what type of instances should be using and all. But for now, choose T3 small, 2 CPU, 2 GB of RAM, let it come. Okay, so that means for the project, so we are going to use T3 small instances. Now, a single individual server for each and every and actually this looks a little tricky. So an individual server for each and every, so each and every service to run. And also we can say that microservice, but I'm not using that word. I'll start with this word again, maybe in after 1 or 2 sessions. Okay, so what is microservice? What we have done, what we used to do earlier. We talk about the bit history. Now, an individual server for each and every service to run. So there are 3 services to run. So we're going to go with 3 servers. Okay, because this is how we do the things in organization. So we're not going to keep everything in one place. So that is an ideal thing. Now we use private IP address for intercommunication. So now server to server communications will be there. Front end will talk to backend, backend will talk to MySQL. Later in the next project, so you will have other components also will talk, catalog will talk to MongoDB. So cart will talk to, okay, cart will talk to Redis. Okay, cart will talk to catalog, so a lot of intercommunications will come into picture. So that's where at this point of time, this project is straightforward. Okay, so then server to server communications will be there. And for each and every server, we get a private IP, public IP, right? We know that. And so that private IP and public IP, which IP you're supposed to use? Private IP. Okay, so private IP address. And before installing the software, we need to understand which version to install and all. This context, you always get it from the developer, by the way. So someone asks you to, hey, this is a Java application. Can you set up my Java application? Okay, you need to gain the context like, so hey, which Java they are using. Okay, things like that. Okay, so that is how, okay, so these are the project standards we wanted to use for now. Okay, and these standards will change later when we do, so some enhancements like, so after some learnings, this project standards will change. For now, we choose allow all security group. We created one, and T3 small for all the instance types, and an individual, each and every server should be individual. Don't run everything in one server, and use private IP address for intercommunication. And before installing the software, we need to understand which version to install and all. Generally, that context you get it from the developer, by the way. Now with this particular understanding, so we wanted to go and create our project. So our project require total 3 components, and I do require 3 servers. I do require 3 servers. Now I can launch 3 instances. So launch instance, and I'm going to say that this is DevOps-practice. So what is the instance type we're talking? T3.small. And the key pair, no need. And so here we're going to choose allow all. Now I need 3 instances, right? So of the same configuration, maybe on the right side, how many number of instances I want is 3. I can keep it, and I can launch in one shot also. All the 3 instances will come in one shot. All right. But usually it is difficult for you to identify which server is what. Okay. And that's where we always try to give a tag to these instances, and is a name tag, by the way. And so you can edit this and keep your server. So for server, I'm going to call it as okay, web layer, and it is a front end, back end, and MySQL. So the same names I'll use: front end, back end, MySQL. So this way you will know that which is which server when you want to do something, and you can easily identify which is what server. Clear? Any questions before starting? Is everyone aligned?
Yeah, Raghu. So thank you for this. I know I asked a question that I think it was yesterday or the day before, and you said you would touch the area of the networking, right?
Yes. Not today's session, some other day, maybe next week.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to know.
Cool. Now let me bring the documentation, by the way, for this particular project. So the project documentation is explained here. Now, this way of detailed documentation you may not get in the organization, by the way. Okay. So in fact, it is expected that you do this particular documentation. All right. If it is being like this, it is expected for you to do it. And you can do that as well. So maybe, okay, so just as a beginner, by the way, to give you the, gain comfort, by the way, so we just written in a too much detailed way. That's it. Okay. But in the organizations, so you may not have this much detailed documentation. And you always have the context, by the way. Okay. So generally, like, what we are doing and all, the context will be there. The technical details, you will not have this kind of a documentation, because in our job, by the way, everything goes as an automation. Okay. If someone is really telling, okay, so hey, how do we set up this particular component? Let's say you're a new joiner and you're asking the other person, hey, how do we do? I mean, how are we setting it up, kind of a thing. They probably kind of share some code like this to you. Hey, this is the code, and so we're following this. You can go through this code. So you have to go through a code approach, by the way, automation. Okay, kind of a thing. But since you're a beginner here, okay, so I'm bringing a quite kind of a simple kind of a documentation to make your first level understandings easy, by the way. But don't make your mind in that kind of a comfortable zone that, okay, I'll be always having a happy path, so someone will always tell me, I will go and do that. No. Now you are the person, you understand. Someone always gives you the problems only, not, I mean, if they made this much beautiful documentation, why did they need a person to do that? Isn't it? So you'll always get a problem. Okay, hey, we have this particular problem, we need to solve this. That's what you get it. And from that problem, you start understanding what to do, how to do, and all. So all those particular things you will think through and you finally implement it, right? So that's how this detailed documentation you don't expect for in the organizations. That's what I want to set the context. That's okay. So, but for a beginner, you are actually taking it up here. But over a period of time, you don't really require this detailed documentation also, right? So you become mature, you know what are the things and all. Maybe some level, high level context is fine. And even after that, okay, so you don't really completely give that. So just the context is fine to start doing the work as well. Okay. So that is the overall idea. And so let's start with this. So to start with, we have the web frame, by the way. So the frame is, we are calling it as naming as front-end service. This front-end is a service in Expense project to serve the web content. And the developer is using over Nginx. There is a different wide variety of web servers. So different web servers. If you type it, so you'll get a different types of web servers. Okay. So different type of web servers you are getting. Actually different. Let's keep like famous web servers, maybe, I think. So different is actually looking in a different context. So you can see this Apache web server is there, Nginx web server is there, Apache Tomcat is there. Okay. So, all right. So this is what is, okay. So like this, we're going to have different type of web servers. Now here developer has chosen Nginx web server. And why and all at this point of time, don't worry. Okay. But where if you really have a question of why, then probably he's a developer and he's your team, you can always, you'll always be having a context that, why they are doing that. But generally like any other web server. So it's, why not Nginx? So that way it's just Nginx web server. Okay. Now these guys actually going to, this will have a web frame for web application. And this is a static content. That means the content will not change, by the way. Okay. Now you log in, I log in. The things are here same only, right? So the instances is same, instance types is same, launch templates. These are all options are same. So here details, status alarms. These are all same. This is static content. This content will never change. And there are two types of contents, by the way. So static content and dynamic content. And the static content is things will not change, as dynamic content will change. Dynamic content is nothing but my servers. List of my servers is dynamic content. Whereas around the things are around static points are also there. So that's where this Nginx is actually, out of all these particular things, the Nginx is actually solving only the static content. So that means you consider this web page itself. There's a lot of buttons over here, options here. These are all static. Will be same for every user. Okay. And this Nginx is the one which solves that static content. All right. So the developer has chosen Nginx web server. So we'll be going with Nginx web server. Now, how to install Nginx? So it's quite simple. So we'll be going with dnf install nginx-y. Okay. Now another point. Now you need to log in to a normal user. So we'll be logging to this particular system as a normal user, a front-end box. Okay. So I logged into the front-end box. Okay. Now every command I'm going to execute before sudo is a bit pain, right? Isn't it? Every command I'm going to execute before to that, so can you do as a normal user dnf install nginx? It will throw an error saying that, hey boss, you should be a privileged user to run this. Okay. So this is telling the command to be run with a super user privileges. Now, everywhere I wanted to go with the prefix of sudo, it's very it's bit of, some burden way unnecessary. What you can do is you can gain the root access by logging as your user. You have a sudo access, by the way. You can gain into that sudo access. You can gain into the sudo access. So how do you do that? You use sudo-i is the option. Okay. Sudo-i is the option that using that particular option, you can become a privileged user, which is root user. And from there, you can start executing the commands without any sudo. But however, whatever is going on in the system is, how do you come to know if everyone is, myself is logged in as my user and I gave sudo-i. If someone logged in their user, they give sudo-i, everyone becoming a root user. And can we track what is going on in that particular system? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. So usually in the organizations, we will track everything. What's going on? We will track everything, by the way. All right. So that means if someone, there's a file called as a cat/var log secure. So this is a log file. So that is going to track everything which I'm going to execute. Now, for an example, I'm actually executing as a normal user, so dnf install nginx. So the moment I try to do this, now I can just go and rather than this gun. So the tail I use, the tail is telling that, so I'm using a command called as a dnf install nginx. DNF install nginx is what I'm using. Okay. Now who executed this? And all the history is being written here. Okay. So this is being executed by, dev pts0. And who, at what time? At 011038. At 011038, who was dev pts0? PTS0, PTS1 is nothing but these sessions, by the way. So the sessions, whatever you got it, those sessions are called as, so this PTS, pseudo terminal session, we call it up. Now we can get that information in the system. So by using last, by the way, if I use last command, one command, this will help me in tracking. Is only, I want to give you a context that, you are not escaping anywhere. Okay. So we can always find out. Now at what time, by the way? So we're talking about, so system time, 1 o'clock, 1:10 in the morning. So around 1:10. Okay. So who is PTS? Okay. PTS0. So the PTS0 guy is this guy. So the username is clearly written here. So now by seeing this particular log, I'll come to know, so this command has been executed and at what time it has been executed and which user has been executed, so that I can relate it out here completely. and you feel like, I logged out, I'm clean, right? But if you log into the system, okay, so sudo -i, so tail/var log secure. So then you're referring, so tail-n 30. So now here somewhere DNF. Even more lines, many lines has been generated because I logged in, and many things are there. Okay. And maybe if I prefer DNF, I can see this, the DNF install Nginx is there. And so and I can go for, I think I logged out, so something like that. So then you can always see that during this time, where is this? During 110, who is the guy? So you can see this, who is this one? PTS0. Now that is falling under 108 to 112. So this is the guy, right? And he has executed that command. So everything is been tracked. So even though you become a root user, so behind the scene, the system is tracking everything, by the way. So that's where you don't need to really worry about that. I became a root user. So I mean, how can we track and all? The tracking is already happening. So no worry on that. Okay, so let's go and start our journey, right? So now 3 servers, by the way. So 3 servers I'm going to connect. So this is a front-end server, and I'll connect with another server, which is backend. Okay, so sh ec2-user is a backend, and so one. All right, so this is what it is. I have 3 servers maybe. Now on all these particular 3 servers, now which is backend, which is front end, which is MySQL? Just by seeing this windows, how do I come to know? It's very difficult, right? Then what is the mistake we can do? The front end commands you execute in backend, backend commands you execute in database commands you execute somewhere else. This problem generally will arise when you're actually working on the multi-systems, right? And that's where, okay, usually I do this in the organization. If I were setting the Linux box and its standards, I usually set the prompts as well. So as per the machine names. But however, here in this particular case, if I wanted to, so know this as a front-end machine, this as a back-end machine, this as a MySQL machine, I'm going to help you with a custom command which comes with this OS only for avoiding you to do the mistakes, by the way. So which is sudo set-prompt. So it does nothing, by the way. It's just going to set this prompt, by the way. So what is the prompt name you want? Which is as a front end. Sudo set-prompt or set-, I was PROMT prompt. Actually, it's a spelling mistake. All right. So sudo set-, I'll correct this particular message again. Sorry, this spelling mistake actually. So then I will come to know this as this. And this as a backend. MySQL. All right. So now, is it easy to identify which server is what? Which is front end, which is back end, which is MySQL? You're clear, right? And it is easy. Okay. And also, I usually keep the information, certain information here, by the way, on the first line. So what is the public IP address of your machine? What is the private IP? What type of instance? And what Git repository? I think this will come later. That's okay. Okay, so this is to give the context. And this is for because when you actually try to raise some questions to us, okay, so you're going to raise a question saying that, so hey, I have a problem, something like that. Okay, so now when you actually try to send the information, by the way, so what is going to happen is we will try to look into when you actually share the screenshot. So there is a public IP address is being shared. Now I can easily log into that particular server and we can track it out, what is the issue you are facing, and we can help you in a much faster way. Okay, so that's where, so when you actually, okay, so try to share the screenshots, you ensure that has that information. And so this information is added over here. So because of that reason. Okay, so this is the set of introduction. So now let's go with sudo -i, sorry, sudo -i. Now let's start with one by one. So first one is install Nginx. I think this is already done, but if not done, I'll paste it here. Now you're using Putty software. You can use a copy from Windows anywhere, and you can paste it here on your Putty just by pressing right click. You press right click and it will paste automatically. All right. So this is how, okay, you can easily do that as well. Now I can go for systemctl enable Nginx and start Nginx. So what is this commands about? So enable is to start at the time of reboot, and start is to start the service. Yesterday only we talked about what systemctl enable will do. It will start the service even at the time of reboot. And start Nginx will just start the Nginx. Now that means this server is accessible, should be accessible over the browser. If I hit it, I should get the web page. And since I'm actually using allow all firewall, I don't need to really bother about opening the ports and all for now, right? It's easy. Means our web server installation is working as expected. But however, this is not our project content, by the way. So this is what you are getting is, a default content. Okay. Now we want to clean up the default content. I wanted to keep all the content and keep my content, by the way. Now the content where is available here of the Nginx, where it holds all its content is in this location. USR share Nginx HTML. You need to remember this path while you are using Nginx. Okay. /usr/share/Nginx HTML is the place where it is going to keep all the content. Now I want to remove all the content inside that. So that's where I'm giving star that can help me with star means all is a kind of a understanding in Linux. So I have given one YouTube video to go through, learn about regular expressions. So if you really go through that, maybe you'll understand, but otherwise star is simple, like, so all the files. That means I'm going to give rm and -r for if there is any directories, and forcefully I'm deleting that. Okay, that is gone. Now, what is the other next one is the developer is actually providing the front-end content from some place. So we are going to download it, by the way. So where I'm downloading it is /tmp some file, zip file name. Okay, let's take this and run this. Now this will download the file, by the way. Now I'll go into this location. So where I have to keep the default content. Okay. And then unzip the file which we downloaded, by the way. So unzip the file which we downloaded. So that's where you got the content. Now, since you got the content, now just go to here, try to refresh. You see your project content now. All right. So this is how we are going to. But we are not done yet. So the configuration part. So we need to talk to the backend server. And how do we talk to the backend server? Okay. That is the next configuration. But before to that, any questions on this?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Just a random question. Like how you clearly labeled all the commands that we're supposed to start with for front end. Is it always that the this it's is it script that it's always going to be given to us to just to label it, but not as clear as you did it, right? But we'll get all the commands listed that we're supposed to do this, or we have to create it.
Yeah, I already mentioned, so you'll get the context and these commands you need to
Okay,
prepare and make it.
thank you.
Okay, all right. And these commands also not big commands, right? So someone asks you to, now you don't know Nginx, maybe so far it may be lengthy commands, but at least after doing this practice and learning these particular things, now you know what is what, like install Nginx, and someone will give the content, you give the content, that's it, your job is done. It's a simple job only, not a big one. So yes, for a beginner it may be bigger one, okay, but that's okay. This is what we have.
Yeah, regarding this application, said like we need to download the front end. So when it is we are downloading, unzipping that into temp location, will be referring to that main location, like where the NJX location it will click automatically.
We are downloading the file to zip file to /tmp, but I'm extracting it in different location, not in temp.
Okay.
I'm going to the Nginx path only, and there I'm extracting. So that means it is Nginx. Right?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Raghu. Where can I get the documentation about this project?
We'll share.
Okay.
Cool. So the next one is, now this guy need to talk to the backend guy. Web layer need to talk to the application layer, right? Now, in order to talk to him, by the way, so then front end should know about the backend server, right? Now the simple web page itself, okay, now this is actually getting the list of servers over here. Now that means this web frame is definitely talking to the backend, by the way. This guy is really talking. Let's try to find it out from here itself. You have a browser inspect option. And if I go to the network, by the way, okay, so then it is going to be a refresh. Now you see this, how many calls he's making. So 278, 283 requests he's making, 285, it's crossing many. You think this is a simple web browser, getting the content, but this guy is actually making close to 300 connections. See this 290, these many connections he's trying to make, okay? And so what he is trying to do here is, so he is trying to make some sort of connections to the backend, and he's making some sort of a connections. Many things are there here. So it just looks like a simple page. So there are many things, many information that he might be fetching it. Now here, I'm just thinking, so here is a one. Here, our URL is actually is us-east1 console.aws.amazon.com/ec2. But however, when you're actually trying to get it, by the way, so he's trying to talk to the service in the behind the scene, which is ec2.us-east1.amazon.aws.com. So to this one, actually, he's trying to send the request, and maybe from there, he may be getting the response. Okay, or he from that, or maybe somewhere else. Does not really matter, but he is talking to the other guy. So that's what you need to understand. And also he's trying to download some many JS files. That's okay. So I think this one. So, but this is analytics one. Okay. So why analytics? I think, so here, if you just click on this particular one, if you click on monitoring, you see this, there is some data should be coming up, some graphs will come. I think that information also he's trying to fetch from here. Okay, so like this, okay, there are many things that, so we might think that is a very small thing. There's going to be big things as well. So now I think he's trying to get from some static content, that a.b.cdn. Okay, so console.awsstatic.com. So some static content he's getting, that's okay. These are all different calls he's making, by the way. Now, our front-end application also will try to make some calls to the backend and fetch the information, by the way. Okay, we can clearly see that. So now inspect as well. Now here network, and if I try to refresh, I'm getting basic things. I think I'm not making any kind of things. Now here on the left side, you have add expense here. So if you just click on that, now you're getting, so the transactions failure, by the way. So you click on transaction. So it is trying to make the request to the same server, but however, it is trying to make as API/transaction. And if it is making to the same server, 41.44 same server, so but /API/transaction, okay, it is getting 404, the problem. Okay, it is not getting okay message, it is getting some problem. Whereas 200x and 300x is considered as not a problem. Okay, but whereas 400x or 40x and 4xx or 5xx is considered as errors, by the way. And there's a bare minimum knowledge that any software engineer should hold it. I would suggest you to start reading about HTTP status codes. Now, maybe so far you're happily using a browser and you're using google.com and you're getting the content and things like that. But it's time for you to think about internally what is happening, how the web browser is actually getting the content, how it interacts with the server. Okay, how do you get the thing? So these are the very basic fundamentals of a software engineer. So that's where maybe if you're not aware, that's okay. You start reading about it. Okay, then gain the context about it. And if you have any questions on that, so please let me know on the lab query sessions as well while you go through that. But yeah, so here it is. And now this is not there and it's not working, by the way, right? So it's a bad thing. Even the browser giving it as problem. Now, because this guy doesn't have any configuration to talk to the backend server. So that's where the next configuration will come into the picture as a part of documentation. You set up the static content, but this again needs to talk to the backend services. So that's where there is the one which is coming into picture. Now, what do you need to do is you need to go and create a file, by the way. So which is, okay, now try to understand. Now you are hitting the same server only, but this server is actually trying to go to the backend and fetch the content. But and as an end user, you really don't know it is really going to this server. Okay, you're thinking you're hitting the same server only. That's where on the browser also it is still giving the same IP address of /API/transaction. It's not giving a backend server IP address. That slash of something is changing. Okay, so that, okay, but that is making you assumption of what is it, by the way, that making you an assumption of you're getting it content from the front end. And in fact, actually the content you're getting it from front end only. But however, the content is actually being pulled from the backend component. And in the web server world, by the way, so here is the one we are actually trying to set up a project with the Nginx. Now that concept is called as a reverse proxy. The concept is called as a reverse proxy. Now, reverse proxy, what do you do is, okay, you try to get the content from the remote machine and you serve it as your content. That is what you do. Okay, that's about reverse proxy. Now, Nginx, what we are doing is we're doing a reverse proxy configuration. Okay. Now, let's say, I mean, just as an example, I'm telling maybe for an example, you called a customer care. Okay, for an example, you had a problem with a bank account, you called a customer care. So then what do you authenticate with all your details, I mean, account number, all those particular things, and you validated that particular one. Right now, let's say you say that, okay, so hey, I have a problem with this transaction, as an example. Now the person, what he will do is, okay, fine, let me check it out the details. Now he go and check the details and get back those particular details and tells you that details. Now that person is actually acting as a reverse proxy, isn't it? That person is actually acting as a reverse proxy. He's doing a reverse proxy work, right? So he is fetching the information from some portal, the bank portal, and he is fetching it and telling it to you that he knows the things. Maybe here you have a clear context. Okay, but he's trying to tell you as that is your um, that is his content, by the way, or the content he knows. Now the server also is happening the same thing. Now he go and talk to the different persons, by the way, and fetch the content and serve it. Okay, the web frame, and that's where it's a reverse proxy configuration. Okay, going forward, whenever we need it, we'll talk about others as well. It's okay. So coming to here, now we are going to set up the reverse proxy configuration. So we are going to use a VI editor, and VIM is a little bit enhanced editor of VI. I think VI only you can use, no problem. So now you can just give this one. Okay, you need to create this file. So now open this particular file and keep it, the server. Okay, so this is the one. And here you copy this particular content. So one. Now, what are the things that we are using actually here is a couple of configurations. Now this configuration, who will provide, you will get the context from the developer that we want to do it, but maybe we can build this configuration. It's very simple. Now, what is basically the reverse proxy, there's a plugin of reverse proxy, which is available, by the way. And we are using a 1.1 version. Okay, so proxy version Nginx. So which version of, I think this is the official reverse proxy documentation. Now you can go for version is not mentioned. This is the one we are using. And you have, it is telling, so you have 1.0 and 1.1 version. So two versions are there. Okay. So what is this basically is the HTTP protocol version we want to use. Okay. HTTP protocol version. Okay. So now there are three versions actually. 2.0 is also there. But HTTP protocol versions, if you look in, I don't know, 3 is also there. Now the HTTP, so the URL, whatever you type it, by the way, so the versions, what you use here, the HTTP protocol, whatever you use here, so that version, by the way. Now that web server should support you. The browser should support you. All the things are there. So now here, what is the versions that Nginx is supporting is basically is 1.0 and 1.1. Okay, I know that Nginx doesn't support 1.2 or 2.0, sorry, not 1.2, 2.0. Okay, so this is an open problem still on Nginx that doesn't support Nginx, Nginx supporting HTTP 2.0. Okay, so this is a problem, by the way. So this is what it is. It's an open problem from Nginx. Still today, I think, if I'm not wrong, at least I may be told as well, but still, okay, I feel that this is not there. So that's where which protocol version we are using, we want to use is 1.1. That's what I'm telling. And if any request is coming to location, this is the actual reverse proxy configuration. This location, if any request is coming to /API, we want to send it to the backend server. And the backend server is, the IP address is actually remove that local host. Now, what I have told in the documentation as well. So ensure you replace localhost with the actual IP address of the backend component. Or localhost is just to use to avoid the failures in the Nginx server. That's okay. That's fine. So that's okay. So the localhost need to be replaced with the private IP address of backend server. It's actually private IP, not public IP, because the project's context I already set. And there is one more section which is for /health. We'll talk about this a bit later. For now, okay, so to get some health information, we are keeping it there, but why you are keeping and all, you will understand when we talk about a load balancing concept. Okay, but for now, just don't look too much about it. So these two lines are very important. Which version of protocol, HTTP protocol version you are using, and this location. Okay, so slash API. And also if you see this here, so it is actually coming from this only, right? So what it is trying to make is, it is actually trying to make is slash API. Okay, and again inside the transaction is making. So that means this supports. So any request which is coming with starting with slash API, you send to this particular server is what is the configuration you're telling. Okay, so save and quit, and you updated the configuration. So that's where the configuration to get it affected. So what we need to do is we need to restart the service. So systemctl instance. So that comes to the end of the front end setup. Okay. Clear? Any questions?
Here in this configuration change we made, for that, like we need to mention backend IP address.
Right.
All right. So the configuration that we used for Nginx, and you showed the version. I just want to apply this to a real time scenario. So like the Yahoo and the Google, I mean, if they use Nginx as their web server, so and they use HTTP, I know the S is all about security. So my question is, do they also use the version, if they're using Nginx, right? So are they using the version 1.1? That is one question. And number two question is, for an updated version of 2.0, which is not supported by Nginx. So is Nginx not an update of the recent version?
So the 2.0 is a recent version only. It's not a old one. So 1.0 and 1.1 is very old versions and been there. And yes, if you're strictly looking for 2.0, then Nginx is not your solution. And that you don't need to bother about that because it's a developer work, right? So it's a developer application. And they're strictly looking for the features of 2.0. So then they would have not chosen Nginx, they would have chosen something else.
Okay.
All right. So the next two services, okay, I'll just try to follow the documentation. I'll not explain anything. I think it will be too much rush if I just try to go with that. But anyhow, we'll terminate these machines and we'll start with maybe other two components explaining that time. Now, the next one which we have is a database, by the way. So database is nothing but a database. Database is nothing but a database to store the data. Okay, database to store the data, and to store this, we are actually now we are using a something called as DNF module. Why this module is coming and all, and also we'll talk about this, by the way. So that's okay. And we are creating one repo file. So to download the MySQL. So since this is so since today is going to be the last session for this week, we just wanted to just show you the full project, working project, by the way. Is the only idea. Okay, so first of all, there is no such thing called as MySQL module. Okay, so MySQL module in Red Hat 9, no problem. Cool. So then I'll update the documentation. This is CentOS 8 or RHL 8 version configuration. I'll update it. No worry about it. And the next one is go with that and DNF install this server. So we're installing the MySQL software and Okay, so this package is not installed actually. So because these are EL7 packages, my bad. Things will change now. So now here, it's actually not EL7, it's actually EL9. So EL9 is not there. Okay. So then I had to reach to the vendor. So MySQL 5.7 on RHEL9. Short answer, you don't. So there is no support for. Okay, it seems only 8.0 is built officially for EL9 as well. All right. Let me try with Enterprise Linux 9 packages as well. Sorry, 8 packages. No. The OS support is not there while we are going with older version. Okay. So someone is actually giving it download page from here. But it is not a too much worry to us because later this will become to a service. We will convert that into a service, by the way, which is not a problem as well. We'll go with the Amazon service of Red Hat, Amazon service of MySQL. No. So first of all, why I'm looking all these particular things, we can go to the MySQL downloads, by the way. All right. So let's find it out. Is there something we have here? So now you can just go to the downloads. So something else. So they're giving only Enterprise Edition, MySQL Community Edition. So we're using a free version, by the way. Okay, MySQL Community Edition is the one. Download MySQL Community Edition. And so maybe download from a Yum repository. They're telling this. So now here you have a 9 version and 8 version, right? So, but it is giving 80. So that means 80 version, but we're looking at 5.7 version. 8 is anyhow latest, we know that. But actually, so I'm looking for 8 anyhow will work there. MySQL Community 5.7, let's search from that. SQL Community Edition 5.7. So now here the version is archives, which is, I think they stopped even. Okay, so 5.4. and this is for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and they have Red Hat 7, 6 versions is there. 6, 7, even 8 also. I think 7 is still supporting, 8 maybe. I think that is also not there anymore. We ended up hitting a roadblock, but this is okay. Okay, so this I can, okay, so we can get it worked with. I don't want to reduce the version for this, by the way. I will go with I'll over the weekend I'll ask the developer. Okay, so some developer is there for this who developed this. Okay, and I'll ask him to upgrade and give support for 8.0 version. Okay, and if it is an 8.0 version, I think it is simple only. So DNF list and grep for MySQL. But if you go with the 8 version, so the steps is quite common, and it will work. Now that repo file itself is having a problem, rm-f/etc.repos.d and then mysql.repo file. We remove that, and DNF list for MySQL. Are we getting anything related to MySQL, or MySQL is coming by default repos? Or do I need to go to the vendor and get the repo file? Let's see. Because MySQL is widely used, it generally comes shipped with the operating system. 8.0.32 is already shipping with the OS packages, so which is fine, no problem. We can use this version. So I'll just ask the developer to, I think just a couple of parameters he need to make a tune there. So I'll ask him to support the 8.0. So that's where maybe next week when we'll start with the database, and we'll go with 8.0, and this project mostly should be supporting it. Okay, so yeah, otherwise a working app will be just you're able to enter the amount, so 100. And why are you doing this? So like, let's say breakfast I add. So then I'll just click on add. It should show all the list of expenses here, a working component. Okay, so since we are actually changing to 9.0 version, so there may be some hurdles here and there. Okay, around the project. So I think this is the only one. Otherwise, I don't think so. Next time anything will get into a problem. But later project, maybe when we go with that, also we need to think of. That also might come into, they also use MySQL 5.7. So there also we need to just ask the developer to give the 8.0 version thing. That's it. Yeah. So that's all basically from my side for today. I can take a pause as well. Yeah, if anyone, any questions, I think I have set the context. So, and also before to that also, just before taking any questions, so we have been set, I have set the context that, how do we deal with the problem, right? How do we deal with the approach, right? So the approach I have mentioned that, we always take it up is, any topic will take an introduction, just like Linux, we learn something and we are ready for the, and whenever we think that, we are ready for the, we are ready for the project implementation with the learnings what we had, and we immediately get onto the project. We do the things around the project only, and we learn all the topics from the project requirement, and any leftover topics that we have, by the way. So we'll go and cover with the so additional topic, like, so at the end, we will try to conclude them. So this is where every topic will just have a quick introduction. Hey, we have this problem, this is the tool, and this is how to start with this tool. And we start with the project. We jump onto the project, and we start doing the project. A lot of problems will come. So that's where, you always look at the problem and then the solution will come. So you learn all the solutions, and one day you get onto the project, right? So that is a different approach of learning. That's fine, but I usually take this approach. Yeah. And anyhow, like I mentioned, so these machines, anyhow, I'll come back and, so starting I mentioned, so I'll terminate these machines and I will go with the, fresh creation. I'll go with the fresh creation once again in the next session so that I can also show you, creation of these instances one more time. Otherwise, this is all. And like I was mentioning about onboarding thing, a couple of people are onboarded, but I didn't drop an email. So from today, I'll start dropping the emails as well. The link, whatever the Zoom link, whatever you're using, and whereas the other links, whatever you're using so far, will get expired starting from next session. So you will be having a portal, this portal. So this is the portal, you'll get the access. We'll send you these particular details. Okay. So now this is the portal, and once you join open that particular portal, you will see all the previous session videos and the live session video also. A live session usually is in the top, by the way. You click on that and you'll find out a join now button. Okay. And you will be able to join the session. This session, whatever you're joining, by the way, you will directly click here, and here only it will try to open. Okay. So, and everything we are going to publish here only directly. So every information will be hooked and cooked here. All right. So that's all from my side for today. And the next session is going to be day after tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll not be having session, but today and tomorrow you'll be having the lab query session. If you have any questions, feel free to join there. Yeah, that's all from my side. Any questions? And someone was asking some other questions as well. Feel free to go. We have some time, so please.
Yeah, thank you, Raghu. So anyone from the US, it's on Monday.
No, for you it is Sunday. Today is Friday for you. So it's day after tomorrow, Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. Okay. My next class is on Sunday. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Raghu.
Yes, Rajendra.
Yeah, for things whom to connect with that.
Your voice is breaking.
I mean, yeah, for onboarded things.
Check with your organizer.
Can I connect with whom? Like
organizer, your organizer. So someone would have provided the link to join the.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I will connect with them.
Yeah. Not able to hear you, Siva. Yeah.
Yeah, we are using the office laptop. We are unable to download that putty because some restrictions are in our laptop. Is there any other way to connect?
Yeah, join the lab query session. I'll help you.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All good. Anyone? Any general questions also, please go ahead about the program training.
Yeah, so for the next link, you will reach out to us through either WhatsApp or email or both.
Yeah, both ideal. Or
all right.
Just consider as email as main source for the first, just generally, because some organizers will not share your mobile numbers with us to go and contact you, by the way, that's fine. Just email is considered as a primary thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Watch
So,
your email. I'll drop
yeah,
one or
so-
two email. Please just ensure you just check the email. That's it.
yeah, so for Sunday, for people from the US, then our class is on Sunday, so we'll get email either tonight or tomorrow before Sunday,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Raghu, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, as an engineer, we won't bother about like what is there in the content of like web layer or a database layer or application layer, right? We will be only bothering about the servers and how we configure them, right?
Yes.
So like whatever you are going to teach us or show, like we have all the development done already, right? Application.
Correct. Development done already, or continuous development is going on, whatever it is.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Agile means it's a continuous development still going on. So there is no pull stop to agile methodology.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as a DevOps guy, right, do you need to have in-depth knowledge about database and the infrastructure about database?
Yeah. So ideally you should be having it. And I usually tell this particular point to learn as an extra. And also I usually suggest to people to learn MongoDB so that you will cover all the concepts in a much easier and better way. Okay. So you should have a fair idea on, again, that depends upon experience, what experience requires what and all. Also, we talk usually at the end of the training, but you should have an idea because you are trying to set up the services. And you're actually trying to set up a services, it's a database is also your service. You need to think about all its availability, the practices, okay, all those particular, I mean, like performance, all these particular aspects. You should have a fair idea on that, right? So that's where I usually suggest, yes, you should have database access. And that again, we categorize into the levels of experience. So whom should have what and kind of a thing. We usually do at the end of the training, by the way, as an exercise.
And also for networking too, one should have at least a fair idea or in-depth of networking.
No, networking we go with in depth, almost like we cover detail, no worries. But I wouldn't say that, I cover all the million scenarios which is out there. So we cover very decent, and we'll set up the project in a much more secure way that covers most of the things, by the way, generally.
Yeah, because I know for networking,
That's fine. Yeah. That's
as we are using.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I know for networking as we're using we open all the port stuff for the firewall. I mean, if it's a real-time scenario,
Don't worry. I'll take care. Okay. Still
All
have
right.
any gap, by the way, we'll patch it up. Slowly we'll do that. Okay. So just sitting on the day one, don't worry about what is going to happen after some days, something like that. We'll just definitely cross that particular path. I'm sure that you get the confidence. We have a couple of networking sessions again. We'll design the network. Why are we designing that and all? We'll have the discussion. It's not like just implementing, right? So you will get the clear-cut idea.
Okay.
I'm not able to hear you, Balakrishna.
Hi, Raghu. This is Balakrishna.
Yeah.
First, we need to complete AWS or project related
No, we
issues,
go with
Raghu?
project only.
Oh.
So we generally go with the philosophy of company, by the way. In the company, you will not do one by one, right? So, this week we do only Amazon. This week we'll do only Terraform, right? You'll not do that way. It's not going to be possible. So what you do is, okay, so these are the 10 backlog items. So these are the 10 problems we have. We want to solve this problem. So one problem, now how many tools it requires? You have to do all those particular tools and do that. So that's where we take the project. And what we do here is we are actually going to list down the problems after completing the project. So what we are going to do is we are going to do a discussion, by the way. So we'll take up a discussion and all the points of the discussion. So we are going to keep it in, for an example, previous batch, if I take it. So now all the discussion points, we are going to keep it in a backlog like this in a tabular format. I'll keep it in a mind map. So now we start working on these particular problems. These are all the problems, by the way. So that, okay, the solution is some tool, some cloud, that's okay. These are all the problems, okay, will come. By end of the training, so what we will be doing is we cover all the problems, we discuss, we'll clear all the problems, and you will see all those things turning into green, by the way. That's what we do. And in that particular problem journey, what are the things you will be having? I'll teach you that particular thing and I'll implement that. So that is how I actually teach my sessions, by the way. It's not like topic by topic, like going in an academic style. In academic, like school or colleges, they'll teach you all the topics, and end of the day, like they'll teach you or they'll ask you to do one project. They don't teach you project also, right? They ask you to do the project because they teach you all the things. So that's the context. But actually, I'm not going that way. So I'll start from the problem only. I'll start from the project and I'll go downstream to or backstream to teaching you the things. That is my approach of delivery.
Fine, right.
Hi, Raghu. Hello.
Yeah.
Raghu, are you going to create any group for this batch to collaborate with all the members?
There's already a lab query session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can join
that. Okay, Raghu. Okay.
Sorry, Agu, this is a silly question, okay? So for the version that we used for the SQL, which we were unable to download or to use, okay, I said it's a silly question, okay? So was it intentional for us to face that problem so that we can?
This is, I know, on the day one, I don't have that intention to set up that particular problem. So this is the first batch, actually, I'm taking it on Red Hat 9. Okay. So on all my documentation's on until Red Hat 8, it is working fine, right? And that's where there's a new challenge even to me, by the way.
Okay. All right.
But it's a learning so that we understood that, so now developer, whatever we have chosen, now if the developer really have chosen that, so 5.7 version still for his development, you can clearly raise a red flag saying that, hey, Red Hat is going to end the support in, Red Hat is actually going to end the support in, May 2024, but you are actually still on 5.7. So you can raise a red flag saying that, okay, as an engineering perspective, we thought like we'll go with Red Hat 9. We purchased Red Hat 9 license. Now you're actually using 5.7. It's a red flag. We can't actually deploy your application. You can raise a flag. So let them deal with that, how it goes. Yeah. Any other questions?
Raghu, next class is for Sunday, right? For US students?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So that's all from my side. Please just check, ensure you get the emails, by the way. Maybe next 24 hours at least, you should be getting the email. If not, please do check with your organizer, and so that your next session can be joining smoother.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a doubt regarding the onboarding. Actually, my friend referred this website to learn the DevOps, so I don't know anyone from your side. How can I go to
that website will have
onboarding process and all?
That website will have a mobile number. So talk to that guy.
Okay. Sure.
Right.
Thank you.
So Raghu, again, it's me. I know for DevOps, what you showed us, the 3 layers, which is the web server, the database, and the application layer. I mean, the web layer, application, and the database. I know they all connect using a security measures, which that is where the security or DevSecOps comes in. Are we going to treat that part, or are you going to give us a knowledge of how it works, how they connect, how they secure, like the certificate, the intermediary, and the root certificates? Are you going to give us those in-depth knowledge about it?
Yes, we do all implement all those particular things.
Okay. And also either the web server, the web server certificates or certificate in generally.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll
All
implement that completely. So on the list of problems, so this point actually should come to the problem on the day we take the discussion. Hey, what are the problems you consider that is there in this particular project, by the way? Then you can raise a concern saying that, HTTPS is not there, security is not there. So then you can put that as a point there. So then we'll start working on it. That's how I'm doing.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you in next session. And bye. Good day. Good night.